Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is a Sunday evening update. I wanted to give you all the insight of what's going on in markets. Obviously, a lot of turmoil happening, especially because of all the tariff talk last week. You can kind of see U.S. markets here as they're opening up. I mean, just a brutal open. S&P 500 futures are down almost like 4% on the evening here. NASDAQ futures are down about 5%. Now, BTC itself is a little bit more correlated with NASDAQ, but over the past, I would say several days, especially heading into the weekend, BTC looked like it was kind of, doing its own thing, but I had an assessment that I really thought that, this is all just crap that people are saying, where there's this, relative strength effect that's happening on Bitcoin. And I did not believe that at all. I spoke about this on my Twitter feed quite a bit. Let me see if I can find it. Right. I've been pretty vocal about the fact that since Friday, basically, the market itself was giving you an opportunity to basically short BTC into the weekend, while not having access to the equity markets or the FX markets. And as you can see, as BTC sort of opened the Sunday morning session or even Saturday evening yesterday, market has been pretty much, weak and selling off since, right? This is Saturday yesterday, and you can see it started to roll over yesterday. And then this morning, it was, all but clear of exactly, where the direction of Bitcoin is going, leading the US equity markets into the new week ahead. You could also see on the daily for Solana, Solana's down 11.5% just on the day. And again, like we're not even on the Monday yet, right? Now, I will say, yes, it's possible that the markets from here can just start turning around. Is it possible? Yeah. But I also think that all the tariff talks that have been going on, like if we start talking about, the conversations that have been happening regarding tariffs, these are not conversations that are trying to alleviate the main concern regarding tariffs and their uncertainty. It's rather the fact that I think the market itself is digesting that the entire world is being sort of upended in terms of the globalism path that we've been on, and now getting into the isolationist path, right? I would like you guys to check out two things: Ram Aluwalia's video of his dissection of the world order and markets in general, and this 2 minute clip by Bob Lucas. Obviously, you guys know very well who Bob Lucas is. You can kind of see, he did just a 2 minute video on him basically selling 1/3 of his portfolio in BTC, something that he's held, since 2018 and cost averaging, up and down, and now sort of cutting that here at sort of 78,000, 79,000, right? And so all that, being said, what I find really puzzling is, majority of crypto participants think that somehow BTC is a bid right now in the market, whereas I personally believe, like, I don't even think we've begun the real sell-off in Bitcoin, right? So I think the sell-off is just ensuing, and I think, that down move that's coming next, it's going to be really violent. And like I said, this goes back to my original thought process of, I really think that this this past week, um, we were basically baiting people and reorganizing positioning, especially in Bitcoin, to just bait people into longing. Or maybe the risk was more so on the NASDAQ front, the stocks front, and now the true sort of VAR de-risking, which is value at risk de-risking on portfolios, is just happening, right, into the new week ahead. And so it doesn't take Bitcoin much to shove down 10, 20% and altcoins to drop 20, 30, 50% in the span of 1 week. Whereas, the indices being down 10% in the span of, 1 month is still a lot, right? For example, like the month of uh, April here so far, we've dropped about 14%, right? That's a significant amount for US equities, right? And of course, BTC, if you kind of look at it, as I mentioned before, is only down about 5%. Now, there's something, in my opinion, very, very wrong in the scenario. And the asset that's incorrect is Bitcoin, right? So point is, I believe that the real selling in BTC should begin, here shortly. Um, Now that doesn't mean like you have to short or anything, it just means like maybe stay out of the way if you're just trying to knife catch and long. Because I really don't think this is a time, right? I really, really think the time right now is to just sit back and watch and make sure that, you're not going to get run over, right? And so we'll just sit back, see what the market sort of, brings us. My overall theory is, at some point, BTC is going to make its way towards like mid 50s to low 50s down here, which, per our Pi cycle indicator, right? You guys know very well I like using Pi cycle. We've dropped out of the high and the low short MAs right here, which is the green and the yellow. And usually, when we drop out of that, as we're entering sort of a bearish regime, we come into the strongest support level for Bitcoin, which is somewhere close to the bottom of this BTC low, which is a long SMA, and that currently sits around like $52,000, right? So I don't know if that's going to happen in a few weeks or it'll take a few months or 1 week. I'm not sure. But I would imagine that, at some point we end up somewhere over here, right? Which is that mid 50s level. We've done that numerous times, like, COVID right here, breaking down below that back here in November 2018, breaking below that level here in June and all the way into December 2022, right? So I would imagine like, we're going to have probably a little bit of a rougher time for the foreseeable future. So I would highly, highly encourage major sort of risk management, try to reduce your FOMO at prices that have been significantly reduced because again, like, there's been projects I've been watching for a while, like T3 AI. Store is a little bit different again, because I've literally worked with a team, we know how many whales control the supply. Our team itself, the treasury controls a large amount of supply. We're not really worried about people panic selling and stuff because we're literally building a physical store, right? And Solana Foundation backs us, Helium, Soulflare, so we're not really concerned about that. But you see a few outliers like Magnetics is again, holding up respectively very well. T3 AI, one of my favorite projects that I've been watching, which is under collateralized. I mean, it has just been getting absolutely demolished, right? Even I thought it was a steal at 2 million. I thought it was a steal at 1.4 million. Now it's down another 50 to 60% from these levels. So it just goes to show that, in these projects, if you don't have like an external institutional bid like Bitcoin does, there is effectively not a floor, right? Because a floor is created by um, an external buyer, right? A buyer that is coming into the market and buying these tokens. And right now, we're just in an absolute free fall, and I don't see sort of a sign of, relief or reprieve. It's more so like just a panic that sort of ensued in the market, and all we can do is, be cautious, stay out of the way, don't get run over, preserve your capital, and look for levels below. Look for levels below, and then assets you want to be buying below, right? So for example, like, I don't know, something like Solana, to me is not really interesting, unless it's like somewhere near $70 or $75, just because, it's already cracking or about to crack 100. I don't see a reason to step in right here. I see more of a reason to step in. Maybe it's at 70 or, 60s or something. But again, I'm not saying it has to happen. I'm saying that that's where I would be saying like, oh, that's a discount, right? It's like, if you guys remember, way back in the day when we started, wanting to really, really jump into Solana, it was way down here when the panic was just full blown and things just looked dire, right? And that was in, November, or sorry, December and January 2022. This is the kind of like true sheer panic that you want to see in the market. If you really think that we're ending this panicky, deleveraging stage. And I just don't see that right now. What I see in the market is people were constantly saying that they want to be a buyer in the market, and I don't buy it, right? I don't buy into that theory right now. I just don't see why you would want to step in and risk your capital. So that's where I am. Again, I could be totally wrong. I think these markets are very um very tough to read, but the best you could do is, manage your risk, manage your capital, create your Christmas list, right? So for example, like, I don't know, like Aptos, I mean, hey, if I get Aptos somewhere near $3 or $2, if that happens again, like that shit, that would be huge. You can see you're down the list, like everything is down 10, 12, 15%, right? I mean, these are crazy numbers. So even Tau, something that I've been watching very carefully, down sort of massive, massive amounts. So um, some assets I am really, really um wanting to sort of step into, but I just I just don't have the guts to do it yet. Just because like I don't see the full blown panic in the equity markets, and I definitely don't see it in crypto. When you see that full blown panic, that's like when you know that no one has an option to do anything other than sell. No one is like, talking about like, being long from like XY price and adding. So, I'm waiting. That's all I can say. Tau, I mean, there's some other coins I'm kind of watching, like Hype. I'm so glad we let go of Hype around like 24, $25, because damn, like that thing is down a lot. Kaido, I mean, down massively. TI don't even never really cared for it. Thought it was kind of trash. Bear I'm watching, but again, not really concerned about it. Some of these coins are about to be down like 30, 50% in the span of, just 1 month, right? And so it's yeah, and we just started the month, right? It's like literally April 6th, the beginning of the freaking month. So we got a long month ahead of us. So we stay cautious, we stay nimble, and from there, we'll see how it goes. All right. Please watch Bob Lucas's video, model portfolio change. I mean, this is, something that I know Bob does not take lightly when he talks about cutting, his spot position, which he's held for years, that you know, he has clearly had a massive following as a long-term investor. And now that he's sort of cutting some of that position, obviously some people are pissed about it. You can see Bob Lucas's feed, like it is crazy amounts of people shitting on him for selling now. This Bob is, obviously an OG in the space. And the fact that you see like random Twitter people shitting on him tells me like, yeah, I don't think we're at a bottom, because they're calling him dumb for selling now. What he's saying is like there's a lot of risk being built up in markets, and he sees no reason to hold on to that risk, especially as a long-term investor who's up so much, right? I mean, he started off his portfolio with 170K, now he's up to about 3.3 million. The fact that he's cutting 1/3 of that position, walking away with 1 million, and you're being shitted on by, hundreds of people. Like you could see, I gave him a lot of compliments, but you could see, like, look at this guy, there's so many people who are just like so dumb that they just make dumb comments. And I just don't think that these people know what's coming. So be cautious, be careful. Let's sit tight, and we'll see where the market goes. Cheers.